Because of the COVID-19 vaccine challenges in the African continent, the MSF is urging rich countries to stop blocking a patent waiver plan that could boost the global production of the coronavirus vaccines. Now, this comes as members of the World Trade Organization meet this week to discuss a proposal to waive intellectual property rights for producing COVID-19 vaccines. Sponsors of the waivers argue that the temporary suspension would allow more factories to produce the vaccines without breaking international rules. The proposal has, however, been opposed by rich countries like the U.S. and EU member states. Let's bring in Kate Stegeman, the advocacy coordinator, MSF Access Campaign South Africa. She joins us via Zoom from Cape Town. Thank you, Kate, for joining us here on Africa Live. We appreciate your time. Kate, this seems to be a tough one for the Western powers to accept. Why do you think it is so?
From what we understand from the Access Campaign is that the countries that continue to block the waiver have a strong pharmaceutical corporation lobby in their countries. And those companies have strongly advocated for the fact that they say that in order to produce vaccines and other COVID-19 medical tools, they rely a lot on innovation. However, we would push back and say, in particular with regards to the pandemic, that has not been the case, because a lot of these COVID-19 tools and vaccines in particular have been publicly funded. So that argument to us does not hold. Another argument that they like to bring up as well is that there isn't capacity in low and middle income developing countries. And again, we would push back and say this isn't the case. We already see, a deal at the moment with pharmaceutical companies in countries like India, and the waiver would hopefully allow us to bolster manufacturing capacity in more of these companies in the global south.
All right, that brings me to my next question, Kate. Now, supposing they do bow to the pressure and allow the patent waiver, how would this actually change the situation, considering Africa's vaccine manufacturing gaps?
I think my answer to that question, Richard, is threefold. First of all, yes, Africa isn't absolutely capacitated when it comes to pharmaceutical manufacturing, but it's not like we don't have any capacity whatsoever. We know that here in South Africa, there are companies such as Aspen Pharmacare and Biovac. We know that there are a number of Pasteur institutes around the continent, particularly really strong capacity where they're already developing vaccines in countries such as Senegal. So that would be, I think, the first question, or the first part of the answer to the question. The second part is that we don't just need to rely on capacity in Africa. We know, as I mentioned earlier, that there is great vaccine manufacturing capacity already in places like India. And exactly what we're seeing at the moment with the Serum Institute of India and the fact that they're temporarily halting exports of their stocks of vaccines to be able to supply AstraZeneca doses to COVAX is exactly the problematic system we have at the moment because of an exclusive deal with a company like that. So we would hope that the waiver would be, one of a number of legal barriers that we have, that changes and I beg your pardon, so that we can be able to see a system where supply is boosted. And I think thirdly, and one of the most important aspects that's often overlooked in this debate, is that this temporary waiver proposal is not just about vaccines, it's also about other COVID-19 tools. And again, we can cite the example of Senegal, where we've already seen a partnership between a company there, Diatropics, with a company in the UK called Myologic to do diagnostic tests. We would like to see more of this happening. And we really do believe that the waiver will help pave the way to boost supply of those important things, because having a shortage of diagnostic tests is really catastrophic. We also want to see a boost to more medical capacity. We know that there are a number of companies, in the developing world. We know, for example, in Thailand, they've been able to produce generic HIV medicines. We would like to believe that were the waiver to go ahead, that these medicines for COVID would hopefully be able to be upscaled, throughout the world and shared in kind of South-South partnerships.
All right, Kate, let's leave the conversation there for now. Thank you very much for your expertise. Absolutely invaluable. We appreciate your perspective.